I'm announcing today that the Canadian government will now match the United States by removing all of Canada's tariffs on U.S. goods specifically covered under CUSMA. This decision will take effect, September 1st of this year. The situation we're in now is that Canada and the United States have reestablished free trade for the vast majority of our goods. Canada will retain our tariffs on steel, aluminum, and autos as we work intensively with the United States to resolve the issues there. We have the best deal of any country with the United States right now. 85% of our trade is tariff-free.
Your critics are going to say that this is an elbows down approach, that you're backing down to Trump. What are you gaining by dropping these tariffs?
So the first thing to say is, let's be clear. We have the best deal of anyone in the world right now. We have the lowest tariff rate on average, a little over 5.5% versus that 16% average for the world, and in many cases much higher. We have that confirmed in an executive order of the president a few weeks ago. It's important that we preserve that. It's important that we preserve that while we focus on two things: the strategic sectors, steel, aluminum, autos, lumber, and we focus on the upcoming review and likely changes to CUSMA. So we are matching something the Americans have done here first. Okay? And it's very significant. It's unique. We get the benefit. The second thing is, and I'll take your analogy. And I have played some hockey over the years. And there is a time in a game, in a big game, and this is a big game, when you go hard in the corners, your elbows up. The time in a game we drop the gloves in the first period and send a message. And we've done that pretty uniquely in the world. We happen to have the best deal with the Americans right now. I know. But there's also a time in a game where you want the puck, you want a stick handle, you want to pass, you want to put the puck in the net. And we're moving later into the game, and we're at that time of the game. And that's where the engagement is.
Breaking news. Canada just made a major move that has everyone talking. Carney just announced that Canada will be removing tariffs on U.S. goods under the CUSMA trade agreement, except for three big ones: cars, aluminum, and steel. Now, at first glance, Canadians might feel like, wait, did we just give in to Trump? Did we lose this trade battle? Hold on, because this is not a loss. It's actually a long-term win.
Alrighty, it is Friday. Let's talk about the fact that we are dropping some of the retaliatory tariffs against the United States. I can understand the immediate thought of why the hell are we backing down? But as someone who deals with customs and clearing items into the United States on a regular basis, I think that this is a good move. It is clear that Trump still does not understand tariffs, or he is banking on the fact that no one understands tariffs. So when we have tariffs on U.S. products, we are the ones that are paying those tariffs. We are keeping those tariffs on steel, aluminum, and automobiles. Which, if you remember, in the first round of 2017 tariffs that came through, that was something that the United States was heavy on us with. I think the response here is two-pronged. They had to have some kind of response when all of this happened. We had to come out strong. But ultimately, I think that they're pulling back on it now, first to help Canadian companies that are really struggling right now, and second, because they want to make Trump feel like he has a win. Because his supporters don't fucking understand tariffs, he's going to be able to turn around and say, see, they capitulated, we can start to make a deal. And the USMCA was written with a review date of 2026. So really what happened here is we clap back, and now they can turn around and say, oh, okay, we've won. So then hopefully they're willing to negotiate a little bit more than they would have otherwise. I am not going to be a Carney apologist. I don't agree with a lot of things that he has been doing, but ultimately, this is the right move in my opinion. This is chess, not checkers. And it's been long enough now with these retaliatory tariffs that hopefully Canadian companies have found another Canadian option, and they continue using that option, either Canadian or international. And really, the most important thing that we can do is continue boycotting American products. And this boycott has continued. People are pissed and they are choosing to spend their money on other products from other places, if not Canadian, from other countries. And let's not forget, there are a lot of states that are begging Canadian tourists to come back, and we're all like, hell no. So we are making an impact, and there are other trade agreements that are in the works with other countries. But the thing is, you got to phase out the United States, because we have been like this with the United States for so long. Like 50, 60 years, we have been so closely entwined with them. It's really difficult to pull out as quickly as people want us to. As far as the economy goes, I trust Carney. He knows what he's fucking doing. So hopefully Trump takes this as a win and goes and brags and then takes it a little easier on us in the future.
I'm an economist and I have an MBA and all that kind of stuff. And so, honestly, I think it's the right decision. I know that might sound a really strange thing to say because, you know, I'm very pro-Canadian and very against the Trump regime. But I think for us as Canadians in Canada right now, it's the right decision. Why should we continue to pay more on products that we don't need to? That's the one thing. Of course, you have to remember as well is that Canada has re-established free trade with almost all American products coming into Canada through CUSMA. So I think it's the right decision right now. Now, we continue to boycott U.S. goods, services. We continue to boycott U.S. travel. And I think we need to continue to do that because of the terrible things that the Trump regime is doing.
So our Prime Minister, Mark Carney, a very balanced, educated individual, has dropped most of the tariffs or reciprocal tariffs against the U.S., except for a few industries. And I reserved judgment, and then I listened to his press conference, and his logic was actually quite reasonable to follow. I know he's doing the best he possibly can in just crazy circumstances. Even the polling from the States is that support for all this tariff stuff is really very low. So it's just, you know, wacky economics from a crazy narcissist. But from the Canadian point of view, of course, we have to do whatever is best for the country to get through all this craziness. So I'm going to keep supporting the Prime Minister and thank him for the hard work. I'm not going to thank the Leader of the Opposition because he just seems to whine and yell and make things up. But also, I just want to reiterate on behalf of all of us, I've just been at the shops and I just bought my salad greens, for example. I made sure they were Canadian made. And so we can all make a real effort, all of us together, to keep boycotting the States. Don't travel there. Buy Canadian or buy from our allies and friends. Buy Mexican. But just do our best to keep our spending at home and supporting our economy to get us through this really crazy time. Because you know what? It's 3.5 more years of all likelihood that we're going to be going through this crap.
Okay, let's break it down. Tariffs are basically a tax. When Canada slaps tariffs on US goods, it's not like the American companies just eat that up. Nope. They pass it along, which means we, the consumers, end up paying more at the store. That extra $2 on milk, the higher cost of bread, or even your favorite tech gadget, those price hikes, that's tariffs at work. So when Canada removes tariffs, it's not us bowing down. It's actually protecting our own wallets because if those tariffs stay, the companies raise prices and everyday Canadians are the ones paying the bill. And hey, quick pause before we go deeper. If you enjoy these kinds of breakdowns that cut through the noise and explain what's really happening, consider supporting the channel by buying me a coffee. It helps me stay forward while researching and making these videos, and it keeps the channel independent. Link is in the description. Now back to it. And here is the thing. This isn't new. It's happened before in history. Remember the post-World War II trade liberalization, or even the 1990s when Canada opened up under NAFTA. Every single time, people panicked at first. But what happened later? Economic growth, cheaper goods, more jobs. Removing tariffs has often been the spark for an economic boom.
Prime Minister announced today that as of September 1st, Canada will drop all tariffs on American goods covered under the Canada-Mexico-U.S. trade agreement, except for aluminum and steel and cars. And yeah, it felt great when we slapped counter tariffs on, and it feels bad when we take them away. But remember, the counter tariffs were a tax on us. Canadian importers paid that extra fee and passed it along to people like you and me. So, in theory, the prices should come back down a little and orange juice won't cost the same as a pint of craft beer in Yaletown. Whenever I feel unmoored by some news, and lately that has been a lot of time, I look back into history to see if we have been here before. And we have. And it worked out just fine for us. Back in 1965, we signed the Auto Pact with the US, killed off tariffs on cars and parts, and boom, Ontario turned into Detroit North. Jobs in factories and pretty much everyone around there was in the industry. Before that, in 1854, we had the Reciprocity Treaty. We dropped tariffs on wheat and timber. Trade doubled. Suddenly Nova Scotia wasn't just exporting fishermen and fiddle players. History shows that when tariffs are dropped in a trade war, Canada often comes out ahead. I am not saying that this was the right call. I'm saying that I do not have the information nor the expertise to know whether or not this was the right call. I'm not in the negotiating rooms. I do not have a PhD in economics. The way I treat things like this is the way I treat hemorrhoids. I ask myself, am I a colorectal surgeon? I am not. So I'll listen to the advice of the doctor who has 20 years experience up there. If my dog's vet says she needs medication, I don't ask, but did you consider what this wellness influencer with a ring light thinks? At some point, we have to trust the people we've entrusted. That doesn't mean we can't be mad. I'm mad, but I'm willing to see how this plays out before I dust off the pitchfork. And I don't know, maybe this was the wrong call. We won't know that today or next week, so sure, go to the comments, rail against the good-for-nothing bleeding heart liberals, get it out of your system, and then, if you're here to help our country, double down on buying Canadian. Look at labels. Support our local farmers. Keep jobs here. All of this sucks. But if history is any guide, we'll be okay.
So Canadians, don't feel bad. Don't think of this as giving in. Think of it as playing chess, not checkers. Now you might be wondering, why are cars, steel, and aluminium still on the tariff list? Simple. These industries are massive pillars of our economy. Canada cannot just open the floodgates there, or will risk crushing Canadian workers and industries that keep this country running. So yes, we are opening up the market, but we are also guarding our strongest assets. That's a smart move.
Very good call with Prime Minister Carney of Canada yesterday morning.
Yes.
Actually, Canada is taking away some retaliatory tariffs.
He's removing his tariffs, yeah.
Exactly.
He's removing his retaliatory tariffs, which I thought was nice. And we're going to have another call soon.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a very good call.
You're getting closer towards an
Well, I
agreement
like
on
him.
trade?
I like him. You know, look, I'm fighting for the United States. Canada and Mexico have taken a lot of our business over the years, over 25, 30 years, especially during the Biden years. They took a lot of our business, and it's basically all coming back into the United States now. Well, hot as a pistol, and it's coming back in. Because of tariffs and the incentives we give, it's coming back. And it's impossible, I think, for another country to stop it. And we are working on something. We want to be very good to Canada. I like Carney a lot. I think he's a good person. And we had a very good talk yesterday.
And here is where it gets interesting. This is not a win for Trump. Don't fall for that narrative. This is Canada positioning itself for the long game. Because while the US is busy playing political theater with tariffs, Canada is setting up for stability, protecting consumers, and making sure our economy stays strong in the years ahead. Tariffs are like short-term punches in a fight, but removing tariffs strategically, that's how you win the war. So the next time someone tells you Canada caved, remind them, no, Canada is protecting Canadians, just like they always have. History shows this leads to growth, not weakness. What do you think? Did Canada play this right, or should we have kept all the tariffs in place? Drop your thoughts below. I'll be reading every single one. And hey, if you think Canadians need to hear this perspective instead of just the US headlines, share this video, because the economic story here is way bigger than Trump's victory lap. And if you love content like this and want to support the channel, you can always buy me a coffee. It keeps me fueled, keeps the videos coming, and honestly, it means the world. Link is in the description. So YouTube thinks you will like this video over here. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. Au revoir.